So let's take some time to reflect on 2025. So how would you like to describe the economic situation in Thailand during the past year? What would be the biggest highlights or downfalls of 2025?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me today. So for me, I think 1 year is a long time. So we have to go back a little bit and thinking about what did happen during the end of 2024. Back then, if you look at the number forecast by the NESDC, the National Economic Social Development Council. So this is the actual institution that predict what, and they actually collect the data on the whole economy, and they normally also do some forecasts about what likely to happen in the future. So back then, NESDC forecast that the GDP for Thailand in 2025 should be around 3%. So 3% is good or bad. So let's take a moment to think about this, okay? In 2024, the GDP growth for Thailand is about 2.5%. 2.5% is quite below. If we compare with other ASEAN members, we will see that we are ranked in the almost in the bottom of all of other countries. If we also compare with the GDP growth around pre-COVID period is about 2011 to 2019. The average GDP growth for this period is about 3.6%. So 2.5% is a bit below that. It's not quite good, okay? We have been through COVID-19 since 2020. This is like 4 or 5 years after that. But our GDP growth is still below the average before that. It's even bad with even among all other scholars who believe that right now maybe we have facing structural problem. We have faced long-term problem that our GDP growth may not be grow as high as 3.6% as we used to. Okay, fast forward to what is happening right now in 2025. At the end, if you look through all of our experience during every month, we will see a difference in the growth prediction. At the bottom, at one moment, our GDP growth was projected at as low as 1.7%. As you can see, from 3% at the end of December 2024, and then we go down to 1.7%. But right now, we are at the end of the actual 2025 years. Our GDP growth right now, it should be about 2.2%. Very, very low compared with the 3%. We dropped almost 1%, but at least it's come up with from the bottom at 1.7%. So I must say that first, we again hit lower mark than we expect. We also have another delay in the GDP growth. We try to push our GDP back from the COVID period to the standard 3.6%. Right now, even in among other scholars, we believe that we cannot reach 3.6% on average anymore. At hope, at best, we can do is maybe we can try to push our economy back to just around 2.7 or 3%. So this is the long-term growth that has been going on the past 4 to 5 years. Now look into specific detail of the year 2035. There are so many good and bad things happen during that period. First of all, at the end of 2024, we had a new government from Kun Setha to Ms. Pathongthan. We have finally, at the end of 2024, we have finally pushed one stimulus policy, the huge one, the 10,000 baht digital payment program. For me, it's quite amused too, because even though we have election a couple years ago, right, until Mr. Setha just can correct all the vote and then become the prime minister, but still his policy still need almost 2 years in order to push through.
If we have to analyze all of these policies that came out since 2024 and up till now, it seems like many of the policies are put on halt, especially because of the political instability. So what are your thoughts on this one?
We need to understand that for the structure of the economy for Thailand is not so good. We have a very high household debt, which means that by itself, it cannot roll over. The economy cannot grow by itself. It needs stimulus. And we have so many channels that we have done to try to push that. One is the export, one is the FDI. We also have one is government stimulus. So let's talk about government stimulus for now. For government stimulus, is it true that so many policies have been proposed by this previous government, Kun Setha government, okay? Even the entertainment complex, the digital money 10,000 baht. But in reality, it faced obstacle. The government, even though they won the election, in the sense that they then can collect more MPs than other parties, still they cannot actually push through their agenda. That's the one of the problem. The second problem that even though you won the election, you still need the policy to be good as well in order to push the economy forward. And in the past, we have seen that Thailand kind of try to find a new growth engine to push the economy forward. But the ideas are not so good. For example, back then, before Setha, we have the military Lung Tu government. So if you remember, one of his MP, which is the Kun Anutin, pushed for cannabis economy.
Yeah.
Then we have Kun Setha try to do with casino entertainment complex. As this sort of gray and black economy is, for me at least, what we think is that these type of economic growth engine are not good for the economy. Okay, so in order to push the economy forward, then we need two things. First, we need the government that can actually do what they propose, and secondly, we need the policy that are good enough for to not just try to bring the bad things out of the people. And so that's what happened in 2025. We have the government try to push to one mega project, which is the entertainment complex. Another project that has been on hold is the land bridge project. This is also a huge investment project. But still, if you talk with the academic people, they will not agree with this idea. But still, the politicians try to push this idea through. And so for me, one of the things that is holding back our economy is that first, we try to push only for the stimulus policy. We try to give money to the people. This is just short-term solution. And so what you will see is that if we cannot rip our average GDP growth back, but if we just want to inject money into the economy each year, one year after another year, finally we will run out of the fiscal space to support that. And if you look at the fiscal space data, you will see that currently the fiscal limit for the government to borrow is about 70% of the GDP. This is the threshold in the law, say that the government cannot borrow, create debt more than 70% of the GDP. But if you look at their plan, they are really, really close now. Right now, I think it's 65, but because this is like the low over debt, it will keep accumulating, and at the current plan, it will closely hit the 70% in the near future, which means that it is almost impossible to do stimulus economy, lowering every year more and more. The second part that I think the Thailand also face a huge drawback is that we run out of idea to push our economy further. Looking back, again, like I mentioned, we try to sort into the gray, black economy, casino, even the most promising party, the Orange Party. I know you all know heard about this. Also support something like they try to uh, make the alcohol economy grow further by relaxing the law on that. So for me, this is like more of the not a good way to create economy, right? You try to push through like the sin economy. So that's about it in 2025 that have been causing the GDP growth so far. But one thing to note is that I mentioned before that the GDP growth at the bottom of 2025 was predicted at about 1.7%. How did it go back up to 2.2%? I think this is also one of the interesting issues. Because at late, about quarter 3 to quarter 4, we have a new interim government. Okay, the last government got oozed out by the court. So we have the new government, and this new government promised that they will stay only for 4 months.
But now it's only like 2 months and a bit because there's
no,
a House dissolution.
they don't have anymore. So legally, they are not in the government right now because they already dissolved the parliament. Right now, they just handling just for the election. So, but the key thing is that they came only about 2 or 3 months. So they need to make sure that they can have benefit on the next election. And as you can see, they roll out again money giveaway policy, not a structural policy. So they do the tourism rebate, then they do the half plus program.
Yep.
Again, they all give away money to the people. One of the things that make goals look a bit bigger is that they try to front load the government spending. So many of the government spending that's supposed to spread the whole year, they kind of cut out and make it happen at the first when they are in charge.
Yep.
So at this would mean that this year the growth will be a bit higher than it should, but at the expense of the next year that it will be a bit lower than it should. Okay.
Yep, and since the previous elections in 2023, we have seen 3 prime ministers already, and also very different economic policies. And like you've mentioned, they are trying to look for new growth engines. Some actually talk about stimulus policies, giving out cash, giving out co-payment schemes. But they also think about mega infrastructure projects that many people don't even agree with. And there are attempts to revive the economy, but like you said, the stepping onto great businesses. So how can we make sure that Thailand doesn't fall into the same loop like this?
This is not an easy question to answer, okay? First of all, we need to accept that right now the sole purpose for the next election is still about politics, about changing constitution, about to ooze bad guy or good guy, okay? To choose between good guy or bad guy, to ooze gray money from the economy. So that's tough because people vote not thinking about who will come and save the economy, but we're thinking about politics, about change in the system, about so that's the sad part. So if you kind of devote your attention on politics, then you won't have anything who are good, handling the economy in the parliament. So this is one thing that the first thing that I like to mention. Now, so the solution is clear. First of all, if we want to make sure that the economy is on the right track, we need people to acknowledge that right now we are in the problem, we are in a mess. The key thing that can wake people up is that we need to stop handling money. Okay, money giveaways, even some may call stimulus money. This is just the thing that keep people forgetting the root cause of the problem, because they have money to live on with their life. So they just don't need to care much about anything. But if we take these things out, then people will realize that they cannot find the money themselves a long time ago. If you look at the economy before COVID-19, on average per year, the government inject the money around 2.6% of the GDP into the economy. This is huge. For the OECD standard, they suggest that the money put in the economy should be at most 3%. So we almost hit that before COVID. But after COVID-19, this number grew up to about 4.2%. So slowly, the government becoming involved in giving more and more money in terms of either government spending or in tax cut, tax rebate, or money giveaway in other form that does not in the budget. And so this is like we slowly, painfully got into the trouble, but the government kind of fixed them up by using the post-it pad to just, make it that people don't feel that they have a problem. But at the end, if the government cannot spend this money anymore, then people will realize that right now the problem is not about the politics, it's about the money. It's about we need a new engine. It's about how can we create the project that can employ people, make the money goes in circulate into the whole economy.
It's interesting. Last time we discussed about this before when Anutin was in power. When you inject with stimulus measures like these, whether it's digital wallet scheme or the half plus scheme, it's like you're injecting steroids into a sick body. And the Thai economy right now is not any different from like a sick person. So what is your expectation for the new administration to come and fix this problem?
First, when we talk about expectation, there are two types of expectation to be discussed. Okay, the first one is what's likely to happen. What do you expect? Like this is like, and it's so tough to move on from the populist policy campaign. Okay, this happened, I think, since like 2001, when the first populist policy was first prescribed into the Thai politics. And since then, people got addicted to the populist money. Okay, every government that came into power always give away money to the people in one form or another, either in welfare card or just direct injection or a life pledging scheme, so on and so forth. If we're thinking about reality, it's so tough to move from this equilibrium, from this outcome. But at least I see some positive sign. For example, the election committee has, at least they try to create certain rule and regulation to make sure that the party who propose populist policy need to actually explain where the money will they get from. Will it affect the whole long-term fiscal projection for the economy? And is this worthwhile to do the project or not? And I hope that if we have this type of measurement to at least make the people realize that they are drawback to all of the populist policy, then we may see some of the good sign. Now let's talk about the second expectation, which is my hope. So I've been observing the populist policy for a long time. And what I observed recently is that the effectiveness of the program become much less and less. This is like when you inject steroid into the system, right? If you are first user, then it will make you very, very strong. It will help you almost anything. You can do everything you like. But if you have been injected for like 20 years, then the effectiveness will be much, much lower. Thinking of the 10,000 baht digital wallet program, the past government tried to promote that this program will create stimulus 4 to 5 times. This is their words, not mine. But if you look at the reality, it can, in theory, at most 0.9%. So if you inject 1 baht, it will create the effect only 0.9%. This is in theory. But in actually, we may observe only 0.4%. And this is because of the effectiveness, weaker effectiveness of the steroid that I mentioned before.
It's like a temporary relief.
Yes, but it's also because the fact that when your body gets weaker and weaker, the effectiveness of the stimulant will be much, much lower. And this is what's happening right now. We have a really high debt to GDP. So most money that come in may go into repaying their debt first. Okay? Or they cannot afford to just spending that money anymore. Now, let's talk more about my hope. So when we see that stimulus policy will not work anymore for Thailand, then we need to shift our policy toward structural policy, which means that we aim for the long-term goal.
So looking forward to 2026, what is your outlook for Thailand's GDP for the next year? Since we've talked about how Thailand's GDP has been declining since COVID-19, and it's very unlikely that it will reach pre-COVID levels.
First, I have done one research on the long-term projection growth for Thailand. We take into account the previous government, okay? So not just one or two, but a couple of previous government, and we've seen that most of them cannot successfully lift what we call the long-term potential growth for the economy. Before COVID-19, the potential growth, which is the growth that normally should expect, okay, in the normal time, is about 3.6. But after COVID-19 right now, our potential growth dropped from 3.6 to 2.7%, okay? Which means that if we want to shift this, we need to address structural problem, like I mentioned before about retirement age. But for now, this 2.7 is very important to notice, is that this is the best that we can do, okay? If the government who came into power try to push this by stimulus economy, you may see that certain GDP growth will grow up, but this GDP growth will grow up at the expense of the later GDP growth that will go down, because you cannot lift the average. You just address the short-term stimulus things. And so for 2026, like I mentioned before, in 2025, normally we expect the GDP growth should be about 2% to 2025 and 2026. And this is based on the fact that our long-term GDP growth is about 2.7%. And we cut off certain growth because of the Trump trade war, because of the change in the FDI regime. But at the end, because this interim government tried to push this GDP up to 2.2%, then again, this is front road, which means that the next year, 2026, you will have less resource. The government will have less money to push their agenda. And so our GDP for 2026 is around 1.7 to 1.8%.
So it's not the same as pre-COVID levels, which was around like 3% or 3.6. So what sort of policies are needed in order to push China's GDP at least near 3%?
So it's not going to be easy, okay? Again, with so many things to be done, I identify a lot of things, but let me divide them into three big parts. The first part is labor. Thailand has not been using their labor resource wisely. Okay, they cannot use the labor in terms of they kick the people out at the 55 years old. But the Thai labor also face the skill problem. Our skills are not matched with the world. Right now, the world move very fast. They are going to the AI period already.
Yep.
So the Thai labor need to catch up with their skill as well. So that's the first part. The second part is about the capital. For the capital, we need to make sure that there are a lot of things that been going on since the last revolution. What I'm talking about is about right now, our technology move toward, like if you do agriculture, you need to use drone. In the factory business, you need automation, you need robot in your factory already. This is the capital that I want to talk about. So right now, Thailand needs to move to that phase. We are in the very, very high-tech regime. For technology, I think the key part is that we still cannot harvest the digital economy efficiently. So what I mean is that when we look into the digital economy, what does it mean? It means that right now, at the click of your hand, okay, you can order good anywhere in the world. On the contrary, it also means that if you are the entrepreneur, your good cannot sell anywhere in the world as well. But right now, when we're talking about the digital economy in Thailand, we kind of look only inside. We try to prevent outside goods to come into Thailand. We try to make sure that the Thai entrepreneur can still operate and still sell the Thai to the Thai people, the Thai product to the Thai people. And that's the good mindset. The good mindset now is that every Thai firm could actually sell good anywhere in the world. We need to look outward, not just look inward. And this is like the three main things that I think the Thailand should be doing in order to push the economy forward.
So there are three parts that needs to be addressed. So labor, manufacturing, and also digital economy.
Yes.
So one last question, what would be the most urgent issue that the new administration needs to address immediately?
So for me, I think one thing that at least we have been talking about a lot, but still is very ineffectively managed. The first one is the climate change. Every year, recently, we have heard about the new flood, windstorm, okay? The sea level that rising. This has cost the economy a lot. Also, the second part that I think we should actively manage is the conflict between Thai and Cambodia. We all know that these are not the main topic that likely to, at least the economists won't talk much about this. But we need to accept that first we cannot escape the climate change. It will come, it will become more severe, okay? And the government will not have enough money to pay back. So which means that we need mitigation. We need to make sure that everyone is upgrading their factory, their home in order to make sure that the effect will be minimal. We also cannot escape the fact that we still have to live with Cambodia. Okay, we cannot move the country away into the sea or other place. So at the end, we need to make sure that we end this effectively so that the economy will turn back on.
So that's a lot of work that needs to be done for the new administration on the Thai economy. All right, thank you so much for today. ขอบคุณมากนะคะ
Thank you.